Light Radio. I am Nima Ibrahim. First, the headlines. Tinubu appoints Walsin Jack as permanent secretary of Education Ministry. 300% fee hike. FUTA students protest. Barricade Akure Ilesha Highway. Governor Adeleke reverses suspension of Osun College of Education provost. And on the foreign scene, Biden approves $5 billion in more student loan relief for long-time borrowers, public servants. Now the details. President Bola Tinubu has named Mrs. Didi Esther Walsin Jack, OONMNI, as the permanent secretary of the Federal Ministry of Education. An esteemed alumna of the Federal Government Girls College in Benin City and the Federal Government College in Ilorin is among the first individuals educated at Nigeria's unity schools to achieve this high-ranking position within the Ministry of Education. Walsin Jack holds a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Lagos and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1987. She is married to Honorable Nimi Walsin Jack, a former General Secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association and Nigeria's leading civic educator. They have two children, both of whom are also lawyers. First appointed as a permanent secretary in 2017 by then President Buhari, Mrs. Walsin Jack has demonstrated exceptional leadership and commitment in various capacities, including a role as permanent secretary in the Service Welfare Office of the Head of Service of the Civil Service of the Federation, Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, and the Federal Ministries of Power, Water Resources, and Sanitation. In a new capacity, Mrs. Walsin Jack is expected to leverage her extensive experience and dedication to excellence in working with the country's education ministers to elevate the standards and policies of Nigeria's education system and deliver on President Tinubu's education agenda. Her appointment is viewed as a crucial stride toward achieving gender balance in the realm of Nigerian politics and exemplifies President Tinubu's commitment to fostering a governance structure that is both inclusive and competent. Students of the Federal University of Technology, Akure Futa, Ondo State, yesterday staged a protest against the 300% increment of fees by the school authorities, which led to freshers paying over 200,000 naira, while all students who were paying 35,000 naira would now pay 130,000 naira. The angry students who shut the school gates as early as 6:30 a.m. barricaded the busy Akure Ilesha Highway and called for the immediate reversal of the hike by the university management. Displaying placards with various inscriptions and chanting solidarity songs, the students insisted that the management must return to the status quo, otherwise the protest will continue until the reversal by the authorities. Speaking during the protest, the president of the FUTA Students Union, FUTASU, Olayemi Oluwasoro said it was unwise for the institution to make the move given the current economic challenges in the country. In a swift reaction, the university management has ordered the indefinite postponement of the resumption of students for the 2023-2024 academic session. The senior special assistant on student engagement, Sunday Asefon, has advocated for a paradigm shift where automatic employment is given to first-class graduates, especially overall best graduating students from different departments in universities and other tertiary institutions. Asefon stated this in Abuja on Thursday at the unveiling of the Nigerian Students' Flag and renewed hope program agenda for the students by his office. He noted that to attract the best brains as well as address the perennial challenge of shortage of lecturers in the university system and other tertiary institutions, the policy of retention of the best graduating students should be activated. According to him, absorbing first-class graduates in public service, ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, would create a boost to the requisite human capital needed for the acceleration of the economic development of the country. He expressed the determination of President Bola Tinubu to put an end to attacks on schools and abduction of students for ransom, saying his office is already partnering with various security agencies to ensure effective implementation of the Safe School initiative of the federal government. The investigative committee on the leadership crisis rocking the Osun State College of Education, Ila Orogun, has reversed the suspension of the college provost, Professor Jimo Afolabi, and ordered status quo ante pending the outcome of the investigation. The committee issued a warning to the principal officers of the college, urging them to comply with the law, public service financial regulations, and the oath of office they took upon their appointments. The committee chairman, who is also the chief of staff to the governor, Honorable KAZEEM, announced the reversal after a crucial meeting with both the governing council and the college management on Thursday. Lastly, according to a statement by the governor's spokesperson, Malam Olawale Rashid, after almost 4 hours of presentations by both parties, the committee further instructed both the provost and the governing council chairman to avoid further escalation, either through media war or litigation. And on the foreign scene, President Joe Biden has approved more student loan relief for another 74,000 borrowers on Friday, waiving in total $4.9 billion in debt. The relief is set to target long-time borrowers enrolled in income-driven repayment plans and the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. It comes largely as a result of changes the Education Department made to the programs, in part motivated by a non-partisan watchdog report. This new move largely mirrors other reliefs granted in recent months and is another example of the president beating his chest over the more targeted loan forgiveness he's been able to achieve despite the Supreme Court's rebuke of his initial relief plan last summer. For 29,700 borrowers enrolled in income-driven repayments, Biden waived $1.7 billion in relief by reassessing their repayment timelines. Meanwhile, those who, after the adjustments, were determined to have been paying down their loans for more than 2 decades qualified automatically for full forgiveness, while the other $3.2 billion went to 43,900 borrowers enrolled in Public Service Loan Forgiveness, a repayment program for public servants. Many of those borrowers had their payments reassessed by the federal government, shortening up their repayment timelines too. Experts say the Biden team has made a political calculation that prioritizing student loan relief will help his re-election efforts come November. That's all on the news for today, but before we go, a quick recap of the major stories. Tinubu appoints Wilson Jack as permanent Secretary of Education Ministry. 300% fee hike. Future students protest, barricade Akure-Ilesha Highway. Governor Adeleke reverses suspension of Osun College of Education provost. And on the foreign scene, Biden approves $5 billion in more student loan relief for long-time borrowers, public servants. That's the news. It was compiled by Nima Ibrahim and edited by OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Don't forget, for the coverage of your educational fairs, seminars, competitions, among others, you can call us on 0702-507-4268, or you can send us an email via educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. You're still on to Education Today on Light Radio, and right now we are taking the country in focus with Said. Good afternoon, Said.
Good afternoon, Nima. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome to the Country in Focus segment, where we consider a particular country of the world, its basic features, and most importantly, its educational system for the benefit of our listeners. I am Saeed Aremu. Today, the country in focus is Malaysia. Malaysia is a country in Southeast Asia. The federal constitutional monarchy consists of 13 states and 3 federal territories separated by the South China Sea into 2 regions, Peninsula Malaysia and Borneo's East Malaysia. Peninsula Malaysia shares a land and maritime border with Thailand and maritime borders with Singapore, Vietnam, and Indonesia. East Malaysia shares land and maritime borders with Brunei and Indonesia, as well as a maritime border with the Philippines and Vietnam. Kuala Lumpur is the national capital, the country's largest city, and the seat of the legislative branch of the federal government. Putrajaya is the administrative center, which represents the seats of both the executive branch, which consists of the cabinet, federal ministries and federal agencies, and the judicial branch of the federal government. With a population of over 33 million, the country is the world's 43rd most populous country. The country had its origins in the Malay kingdoms, which from the 18th century on became subject to the British Empire. Along with the British trade settlement protectorate during the World War II, British Malaya, along with other nearby British and American colonies, was occupied by the Empire of Japan. Following 3 years of occupation, Peninsula Malaysia was unified as the Malayan Union in 1946 and then restructured as the Federation of Malaya in 1948. The country achieved independence on 31 August 1957. On 16 September 1963, independent Malaya united with the then British Crown colonies of North Borneo, Sarawak, and Singapore to become Malaysia in August 1965. The country is multi-ethnic and multicultural, which has a significant effect on its politics. About half the population of Malaysia is ethnically Malay, with minorities of the Chinese, Indians, and indigenous peoples. The official language is Malaysian Malay, a standard form of the Malay language. English remains an active second language. While recognizing Islam as the official religion, the constitution grants freedom of religion to non-Muslims. The government is modeled on the Westminster parliamentary system, and the legal system is based on common law. The head of the state is an elected monarch chosen from among the 9 state sultans every 5 years. The head of government is the prime minister. Malaysia's educational system is known for its well-organized system of education. Primary as well as secondary and tertiary educations are well structured, and students from within the nation as well as international locations apply and study there. Education in Malaysia is overseen by the Ministry of Education. Although education is the responsibility of the federal government, each state and federal territory has an educational department to coordinate educational matters in its territory. The main legislation governing education is the Education Act of 1996. The education system in Malaysia is divided into 5 stages: preschool education, primary education, and secondary education. It is further divided into national and private education. Education will be obtained from the multilingual national school system, which provides free education for all Malaysians or private schools or through homeschooling. International and private institutions charge school fees. By law, primary education is compulsory. Secondary education is expected to be compulsory. Standardized tests are a common feature as in many Asia Pacific countries such as the Republic of Korea, Singapore, and Japan. Primary education in Malaysia lasts for around 6 years. Children commence with primary education at the age of 7. Primary education is a continuation of preschool education in the country. Along with reading, writing, and arithmetic, students can also study other subjects such as science, physical education, Islamic, and moral education. At the close of the studies in year 6, these students will appear for the primary school achievement test /UPSL. Compulsory primary school is for students aged 7 to 12, and it is divided into 2-year phases. Into 3-year phases at the end of which is a primary school achievement test is taken. The secondary education is for students aged 13 to 17, and it is divided into lower secondary and upper secondary education. While the former is for 3 years, the latter is for 2 years, and both come to a close with standardized tests. 2 different final tests exist depending upon which the students have been following, or a technical education or vocational education path. For secondary education, since the implementation of open certificate, students must study 4 compulsory subjects, namely Islamic education, Malay language, English language, and mathematics, as well as history. 3 main streams prevail in upper secondary education, namely academics, which consists of science and arts, technical and vocational stream, as well as religious stream. Post-secondary education is for students aged 17 to 18, and this prepares students who want to attend university. Post-secondary institutions including matriculation colleges and institutes of teacher education are also readily accessible. Students who have completed their upper secondary education and appeared for the SPM examination can then proceed to higher education. Form 6 is a 2-year course of study comprising the lower and upper forms. Eligible students can opt for either of the two streams, humanities and science. At the close of Form 6, students can receive assessments through the Malaysian Higher School Certificate Examination. The Ministry of Education Matriculation Program is a preparatory one for Bumiputera students with the Malaysian Certificate of Education for qualifying for degree courses in science as well as technology and professional arts in public as well as private universities. Pre-university studies last for 2 semesters. Program curriculum focuses on academic aspects without leaving aside the curricular aspect. Students can only enter university following the completion of the matriculation programs. Students of matriculation program receive sponsorship by the Ministry of Education, and those who obtain a CGPA of 2.0 or grade C or above may be admitted to public institutions of higher learning. Currently, there are 43 universities, 31 private universities, 31 private university colleges, 9 foreign university branch campuses, and 414 private colleges in Malaysia. That's all we can take today on our country in focus, which is Malaysia. Education Today continues. Please stay with us.
Thank you for staying with us up to this moment. And right now, we'll take the profession of the week with Aisha. Good afternoon, Aisha.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good day and welcome again to the segment for the profession of the week. I am your host for this segment, Aisha Hussein. In this segment, we x-ray a particular profession of the field of human endeavor within the educational sector, and I will be telling you what it is about. The knowledge and educational qualification required for admission into tertiary institution, years of training required, and schools that have the accreditation to offer these courses. On today's episode, we shall be considering tourism and hospitality management. Tourism and hospitality management is a dynamic field that involves the strategic planning, coordination and supervision of service within the travel, tourism and hospitality industry. It encompasses a multifaceted approach, address the diverse needs of travelers and guests. This discipline revolves around creating seamless and enjoyable experience, whether it is managing hotel, planning events, or orchestrating guiding tours. At its core, tourism and hospitality management is about understanding the art of hospitality, ensuring guest satisfaction, and fostering positive interaction with a global and culturally rich context. Careers in tourism and hospitality management. Hotel management. Hotel managers oversee the day-to-day operation of lodging establishments, ensuring guest satisfaction, managing staff, and optimizing overall efficiency. Event management. Event planners coordinate and execute various events from corporate conference to wedding, managing logistics, budget, and ensuring a seamless experience for attendees. Restaurant management. Restaurant management are responsible for the smooth function of dining establishments, covering the areas like customer service, menu planning, and staff supervision. Tours operation. Professionals in this field organize and manage tours, handling logistics, accommodation, and guided activities to provide travelers with enriched experience. Travel agency management involves selling travel package, offering destination information, and coordination travel arrangements for individual or groups. Economic reward and salaries. Salaries in tourism and hospitality management can vary based on factors such as experience, location, and the specific role. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, as of May 2020, the median annual wage for lodging managers was approximately $670,000. Career in event planning. Hotel management and other related fields offer competitive compensation with opportunities for growth in this industry. Admission requirement for studying tourism and hospitality management in Nigeria. Admission requirement for tourism and hospitality management program in Nigeria typically include a high school diploma or its equivalent. Prospective Nigerian students may also need to fulfill specific subject prerequisites and some institutions might require standardized test scores as part of admission process. It is advisable to check the specific requirement of the chosen institution to ensure a smooth application process. Universities offering tourism and hospitality management as a course include Federal University, Oye Ekiti Foye, Imo State University, University of Port Harcourt, Cross River State University of Technology, Federal University Wukari, Federal University of Agriculture Abeokuta, and Kwara State University Ilorin. And that's how we can take on career in focus. Welcome back. And right now we'll move into the discuss segment. And our guest is very much here with us. We are discussing on the program today, year 2023 in retrospect, education in focus. Again, year 2023 in retrospect, education in focus. 2023 was a transition year for Nigeria from the Muhammadu Buhari administration to the Bola Tinubu administration. The year recorded different policies and decisions of governments which shaped education in the country. Top on that is the removal of fuel subsidy, which increased the cost of education, and so many schools increased the fees payable by the students. On today's episode of Education Today, we want to take a look at some of these events and policies and how they affected education in Nigeria. We would also be considering the outlook for the new year 2024. Joining us on the program today is our in-house analyst, an educational consultant, researcher and lecturer at the University of Lagos. It's no other than Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Nima, and good afternoon, the listeners and viewers.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It's always our pleasure as well. You can be a part of the discourse by sending your comments and questions to 0809-738-4000, or you can as well drop them as comments via the live video feeds on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Before moving into the discourse proper, our short quiz question, as usual, for today is: what country broke away from Malaysia to become independent? The question again is: what country broke away from Malaysia to become independent? Send your answer to the WhatsApp number 0809-738-4000, or you can drop it as a comment on our Facebook or YouTube page. The first correct answer wins the prize. Now, quickly, Mr. KAZEEM, today we are basically looking at some of the major highlights of the events that made up education development in 2023 in our country. So, what are some of the issues that you can say dominated the education sector in 2023? Please just, highlight them for us.
Thank you very much. There are different things that actually happened in 2023. The ones that I think, based on my own assessment, that really dominated the news and the minds of Nigerians actually that of insecurity, where a lot of schools are actually attacked. So many schools at different levels, tertiary institutions, even secondary schools were attacked and students were kidnapped.
Unfortunately.
And even till now, there are still some people that are in captivity, including youth corps members. So it's not just even students of tertiary institutions, even those that just graduated and decided to go on the National Youth Service were also kidnapped. So the issue of insecurity for our tertiary institutions, and it's not just about probably the use of bandage, attack by bandits or whatsoever. Also, our institutions where students of like this, if I can recall it very vividly, students of OLUBUNMI University, students of TASWED, we even have students that were actually attacked in their hostels. Some female students were even raped. So we have this issue. The issue of insecurity really dominated education throughout 2023. Then again, also had because of the elections. So you had schools that were shut down because of the elections, so that students can actually go home to really be part of the election process. They also had the dissolution, with the transfer of power from former President Muhammadu Buhari to President Bola Tinubu. So we had the dissolution of cabinet by President Buhari, and we also had the dissolution of governing councils of all, the boards of all agencies and parastatals of government. So including tertiary institutions were also affected. We had governing councils or federal tertiary institutions, polytechnics, colleges of education, universities also dissolved. Until now, we've really not had that being reconstituted. There has not been reconstitution of the governing councils of these institutions. Then beyond that is also the fact that, remember that the government also came up with this idea of student loan. So they unveiled the student loan plan, and initially they told us it was actually to kick off in September 2023, but because the modalities had not been concluded, so that could not happen. So they postponed it till January, and we're already in January 2024. So that formed part of it. Also, we also had the incident of because ASU strike went on strike in 2022, so there was this anxiety or expectation that with the new administration coming on board, probably the salaries will be paid. And true to that expectation, the president sometimes around say October thereabouts gave the indication that he was going to pay, and then he came up with this idea that he was going to pay 4 months of the salary, and on the condition that these university lecturers or staff would sign a commitment that they will not go on strike again. So that was there. Then also had the removal of the universities from IPPIS. I remember then. So we have the institutions that were also removed from IPPIS. And I think on the final note, because of time, is also the fact that WAEC also came out to announce that they were going to start CBT. I remember, those are some of the issues that I can still quickly recollect, that really dominated things, because I'm sure too people started asking questions, is that possible? How is this? How is that? So that's some of the issues that actually dominated, the education sector in 2023.
Wow, it's really been a great 2023 for Nigerians, considering the educational policies.
And we also had new appointees.
Yes.
So we know quite well. At least we have new ministers now for the education sector. 2 ministers specifically.
Yes.
So these are some of the issues that.
All right. So you've mentioned the kidnapping, the resumption from the ASU strike, the loan, and the introduction of the loan, and others. According to you, which one do you think made the most impact on Nigerians and students and the general share and stakeholders?
Well, different ones, but I think the one that really touched on a lot of Nigerians is actually the fact that the institutions increased tuition fees.
That's a negative impact.
Yeah, so because of the removal of fuel subsidy, so the institutions took a preemptive decision or action to increase the school fees. And the increment in school fees meant that students of public tertiary institutions, especially the ones owned by federal government, and unfortunately it's not just even the ones owned by federal government alone, even the states have already been charging high fees before then. So but they now use that as a pretext to also now jack up the fees. So, and I remember that caused a whole lot of trouble across the federation, because till now I'm sure in your news, I also read how that you mentioned the fact that 300% increment in the school
Kuta,
fees for
Akure.
Federal University of Technology, Akure,
Yes.
and that is still causing ruckus till now. So you can imagine how that is, because so many families were affected, because the removal of fuel subsidy meant that there is inflation, an increment in the cost of everything.
The struggles have been doubled.
Now, yes, and unfortunately, there has not been an address of the minimum wage. There has not been, a new proposal for the minimum wage from the government. So that means that people are still on the same wage, but the cost of living has increased, and invariably that would translate into a lower standard of living. So more people falling into poverty. Already we're saying that Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. So you now have more people falling into poverty, and you now have these same families now having to contend with incrementing school fees. So I think that was the one that really, as far as I'm concerned, made the greatest impact, because till now it is still there. And unfortunately, the schools thought that the student loan thing will start immediately, so that at least, since the government said it will be September, so they felt at least, since that is when the new session will probably commence for some schools, while some will still commence later around November, December, or January. So they felt that at least the government would have released the modalities for the opportunity for the students to be able to access such a loan.
Yes.
And at least if they increase the school fees, then the government will be able to
provided
provide the loan
loans.
for the
Yes.
students to be able to pay, and at least when they probably eventually graduate, then they can start paying back, just like probably some other countries operate that. But unfortunately, they brought the cart before the horse. We should have probably allowed the student loan to take off first before you now say, okay, now that the government has already kick-started this policy, then at least we can now remove the education subsidy. But unfortunately, that has not been the case. So now we have removed the education subsidy, the same way we remove fuel subsidy, the same way we remove probably electricity subsidy, and we don't have anything.
All of these impacts now, I think that they're on the negative side. Like
Most of them. Actually.
Yes.
Seriously, because let me tell you, except probably you don't know, there are some people that are actually already out of school. Yes, now I'm sure probably some of you saw that video of a particular student of a university in Nigeria, University of Lagos, and said, how many hookup would I have to do to be able to meet up with the payment of the school fees?
It trended.
Now it trended, yeah. But the reality is, you're only able to hear that particular case because at least you know that student. That student is in school, and she has access to the media. Now, imagine a student, probably a student of Federal University will carry in Taraba State. Or you mention a student of, let's say, Alex Ekweme University, Undufula Alike in Ebonyi State, who probably, whatever grievance or whatever complaint such a person has, there is no media coverage of such a complaint.
There's no platform to
There is no platform for them to air their grievances. Or you talk about a student probably of Federal University, Dusima, in Katsina State, or the one in probably the one in Gombe State, or some of these states that you probably don't even know that they exist because there is no media coverage. So we are here. See, we can sit in the comfort of this studio or in the comfort of our homes, watch the television. Go on social media. We are even talking about communities where they don't even have access to the internet, or they're not even connected to the national grid for electricity. Now you jack off the fees, and unfortunately, it is not even limited to the tertiary institutions alone. Federal Unity colleges also have their fees increased. So what are we saying? That do we want more people? So invariably, let me tell you, one way or the other, until probably we now have people conducting research to really look at the effect of this school increment, that you'll be able to know probably we have even have an increment that has probably caused an increment in the number of out-of-school population that we have in Nigeria. Already, Nigeria has probably one of the highest out-of-school population in the world. So now imagine that. I think this kind of policy would actually compound that. Seriously. So,
So how have these issues affected the smooth running of the system?
Well, the reality is, for some schools that are able to manage, the reaction or, the alluta of the students, they've been probably be able to come to, a compromise.
Yes, it is.
They were able to engage in collective bargaining, do a kind of reduction one way or the other. And you also have in some cases probably some schools where they gave opportunity for the payment in installments. You can have probably 2 installments, probably one in first semester, one in second semester, or something thereabout. So at least that could ease the burden of the students. But in totality, it shows quite well that government really does not give priority to education, and at the same time we're also not giving consideration to the plight of the citizens. So that's quite insensitive as far as I am concerned. The government will tell you that they did not actually authorize the increment in school fees, and at the same time they will still tell you it is still tuition free. So all that is the institutions are actually charging are just utility fees for electricity, for water, to fix toilet facilities, maintenance of the infrastructure. So it's not really as if they are even charging tuition. So it means therefore that the government has not really taken its time to really understand what exactly is going on in this institution and to come up with the best of policies to be able to address some of these challenges. So.
All right, thank you very much for providing those insights. So my question now is, do you think that Nigerians should expect better in 2024 from our government, and how do you think that Nigerians, coming from the experiences and all from 2023, do you think they should expect more from the government, or do you think the government has probably learned their lessons in some of these policies that they do not have full proof, they were just announced? And do you think Nigeria should expect better in terms of educational policies in 2024?
Well, I would say, to be optimistic, I would have said yes, Nigerians should expect better in 2024.
Which is
but
normal.
Then that's optimism. But if we are to go by the realities of what we have and the history of the government we are dealing with, I would say that blessed are those who don't expect much from the government, for they shall not be disappointed.
All right.
So,
expect nothing and appreciate everything,
so
and then
you will not be disappointed. So I would say that for Nigerians, let them think out of the box on how to survive, on how to take care of themselves, on how to really sponsor their own education.
I think
because if you are to continue to wait for the government, you might continuously get disappointed, especially for the fact that we have a government where, yes, they mouth it that, yes, we are pro-masses, but unfortunately some of the policies and the actions of the government, belie such intentions. And I will say this in the reality, looking at it that, yes, you will see the budget and say, yes, this is, this is bold, this is audacious, but in reality, what we are saying is, government is actually trying to hands off different activities that it has already undertaken before, so that it can save enough to run the government. So it's a case of removing money, taking away money from those areas where government has actually intervened on behalf of the people to save money for themselves in government. And that is what we are seeing.
Which is pathetic.
That is very, very pathetic. And but if we are to look at it on the basis of optimism, let us expect that the student loan arrangement will come on board. They promised us January. This is 20th January. So we don't know. We have 11 days left in the month of January, and we are yet to have the modalities for the student loan.
Yes.
So we hope that eventually they would come up with the student loan and make it easy for people to be able to access it, and to have the conditions attached to it, so that at the end of it, to be easy to be able to track the history of those who were eventually able to access the loan and things like that. That's one. Then I would also say that at least we already have the budget, and in terms of the budget, that's why I said I am not expecting much. If you look at the budget, what we still have in terms of budgetary allocation to education, for this 2024 is less than 8%
of the entire budget.
Of the entire budget. And we are talking about Nigeria that wants to compete with countries in Africa, not even in the world, that have as much as say 15-20% of their budgetary allocation to education. I want us to compete. So little wonder Nigerians will be running away from Nigeria. I'll go for anything foreign whatsoever, be it Togo, be it Benin,
Be it Ghana.
be it Ghana, be it Uganda, be it Kenya. See, there are Nigerians in Swaziland. There are Nigerians in Botswana who are trying to acquire education. So these are nations that actually give more priority to education. So, and unfortunately, the budget now leaves so much to be desired. Although the government did one thing that I am happy about for this 2024, and that is to release the sum of 683 billion naira as third fund intervention fund.
Yes,
I think at least that one I give it to them, because ever since Jonathan, former President Goodluck Jonathan, that we had 200 billion naira intervention fund that was released in 2013, we've not had that bulk sum of that magnitude till now. So maybe at least that can assist in fixing some of the dilapidated infrastructure in our institutions. So I hope that that is the only one that I have seen that I can say, at least from the angle of third fund, that government will probably do something. But for other ones, please don't expect much.
So what is your advice to government and citizens alike on education?
Yeah. As a way to round off the discussion.
Well, in rounding off this, I would say first is that, say, for the government, say, there is a need for us to actually place the right premium on education. If you do that, there are so many benefits, not just for the citizens, even for the government. Imagine Nigerians, like I said, traveling abroad. Look at the amount of money that we spend on education, trying to get visa because we want to travel to the US, to the UK, to Australia, to Canada, to Switzerland, to Malaysia, to Turkey, to Cyprus, even countries that don't even speak English. We're running there because we feel they have better education. Imagine if we're able to fix our educational system in Nigeria. Look at the amount of money in terms of even foreign exchange that we'll be able to retain in this country and reduce the pressure on the naira. Unnecessary pressure that is caused because we are able to do this because of the dollar. Now we'll be able to save our foreign exchange earnings. It will be retained within this economy. Then again is the fact that you have many students that will be able to go to school at an affordable rate. Apart from that is the fact that for the government, I would say that apart from probably increasing budgetary allocation to education, even the one that is allocated to education, please let us ensure judicious spending. Because unfortunately, as meager as that amount might appear to be, that percentage, the reality is what we get to implement when it comes to budget implementation, our budget implementation in Nigeria is usually even less than 60%. And that's ridiculous because a lot of this money will actually even get stolen. So that is that. Then for the people, I would say that we need to continue to put pressure on the government. Election is over. 2023, yes, election is over. But this is governance, not politics. And it is the people themselves that should actually be the opposition. Let us have constructive criticism of whatever the government is doing. Whatever they do what is right, let us give them the kudos. And when they do what is wrong, let us give them the knocks. It is important so that at the end of the day, they know that the citizens are following. Let us not just go and recline into our cocoon and say that, well, we know there is nothing we can do. See, we can do something. Look at the way Nigerians actually came out on the issue of the Better Gate. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. Now, if not for the outcry of Nigerians, she would not have been suspended. So by the time we continue to put, a searchlight on the activities of the government, the ministries, these institutions, all of them, even for the money that the government is releasing now, we are talking about intervention fund.
Yes.
Let us go actually follow. See, we have this street, language. Follow the money. Let us follow the money to ensure that whatever government is able to release is properly and judiciously utilized for what they are meant for. Then again, we need to actually develop the appropriate maintenance culture. See, this attitude of whatever is government's thing, so we can spoil it, we can use it anyhow. Because I can say for a fact that some of these institutions, they have so many things that the government has actually been able to fix using third fund. But unfortunately, those things that are provided, how do we treat them? How do we use them?
Some are just kept, they are not used.
They are not used. You see, imagine having toilets and you decide to lock them up. And at the end of it, will deteriorate, decay through disuse. That is what would happen. And in some other cases, this attitude of I can use it anyhow to get, but after all, we are paying
government to pay.
The government will pay. After all, it's our tax money, so it's my money, so let me use my money anyhow. Let me tell you, The reality is we are suffering because of the attitude of those that came before us.
Exactly.
So let us not spoil or destroy the future of those that are coming after us. So it is important that we put in, see, it's an all-encompassing thing. We all need to come together to ensure that the right things are done. We should be more patriotic about this country. See, the reality is, and all this on this your jackpot thing, yeah, as good as might say, yeah, it's an opportunity. The reality is you don't solve your problem by running away from it.
Yeah.
And you don't expect it is not foreigners. Foreigners will not reform this country for us.
Of course.
It's a fact that we have to face. Foreigners will not reform Nigeria. Let me tell you, if at all, if anything they will do,
They will come and colonize us again.
yeah, see, they would only come, take as much as what they can also benefit from us and leave
go.
us to our problem.
Yes. And go back to, further
If not,
develop
leave
their
us
country.
worse off. Because at the end of the day, say they don't even want you to compete with them. So that at the end of the day, they will do everything possible to ensure that you remain down below and you continue to look up towards them for survival. Imagine what the UK is now saying, that Nigerians are no longer coming. And the institutions there are complaining to their government that this one, all these are policies that you don't want people to come, you don't want people to come. See, at the end of the day, economically speaking, we would lose.
Yeah.
And they're already losing. Nigerians are moving away now from the UK to other places. Canada, US, here I come. Australia. People are going there now. New Zealand, Nigerians are going there. As far as those places are, Nigerians are going there now. See, they see them as better alternative. At least if you have the opportunity, I can come and I'll bring my family members.
Yes.
I'm coming for masters, but I'm see, Ibilu Makusi. Now I marry you, I'm coming to come and stay, and I'm not going back to Nigeria. So, but then, for us, it's our country. We need to be patriotic. I don't have any other country beyond Nigeria.
I do.
So, and I feel like in every way possible, I should contribute towards its development. I want to leave a better Nigeria for my own children.
Yes.
And that is one of the things that we are preaching here. So let us also do our best in our own little way, in our own areas of influence. Not just it's not everything that will be done by the government. Even philanthropists. To what extent are we even supporting the government or supporting the indigent people? I can hear of situations where you see people are even giving philanthropists, donating money and so many other things to private institutions.
Billions. We're talking billions.
They charge those that come, those that attend, those that enroll in those schools. They charge them money. It's not free and it's not cheap. And you are even giving those ones extra. When the public institutions really don't even have
It's meant for the masses.
Please let the masses breathe. Have mercy on
the masses.
Government philanthropists. Please have mercy on the masses.
Wow, thank you very much. It's been a
So
really
emotional.
exciting and interesting edition on the discuss segment today. And that's all we can take on the discuss segment. We'd like to appreciate our in-house analyst for always, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM, for the beautiful insights, he never ceases to provide on the program. We'll go on another quick break, and when we return, the program continues. Please stay with us.
Dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, tẹ́ bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, tẹ́ bá lówó kẹjọ.
You're welcome to the Words on the Marble segment of Education Today, where we take a look at memorable quotes that are educational as well as inspirational to everyone. And today we have a quote from a former American president, Theodore Roosevelt. And according to Theodore, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace to the society. Once again, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace to the society. That's our Words on the Marble for today. Ethics and morality are both essential parts of education. Imparting knowledge without morality will only result in having a society of literate rogues who would only think about themselves at the expense of the populace, of the general masses. Do we have a winner? Then we also like to thank, our viewers, our audience. Thank you all. You all are the real MVPs. Special shout out to Fatima Aduni, Aflei Damilola, Olashibikon Ablaziz, Femi Joshua, Toyiba, Kamilat, Maria Tuture, Bolanle, Mighty Scholar. Thank you all and many others. You know, you are the reason why we keep showing up here every weekend. So I do not think we have any winner. Why so? You don't want to win our prize. All right. We hope you try again next edition. And this is to inform you, our esteemed listeners, that you can advertise your products and services and also showcase your events on our program. This you can do by calling the numbers 0703-953-8998 or 0702-507-4268. Thank you very much for joining us today. And a quick one, we would like to, the entire crew of Education Today would like to apologize to you, our esteemed audience, on, fallout last week. It was due to an unforeseen technical glitches we experienced in the studio. We are deeply sorry, and we promise such will not have a recurrence in the future, hopefully. Thank you for sticking through. Thank you for being there always. Let us know how you feel about today's program through our various platforms on Facebook, Education Today, on Twitter at Education Today, and you can also send an email to educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Many thanks to the entire crew of Education Today and the management of Light Radio. The supervising producer has been Saeed Aremu and Vibes MC. Thank you. To join us same time next week on this station, I remain Nima Ibrahim, and with me in the studio is
I shall say.
Thank you. See you next week and goodbye.